The ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards heads into Madison International Speedway for the 5th stop on the Sioux Chief Short Track Challenge. Impressive showings in the fight for the top prize have 4 different winners in the first 4 races of the challenge. Every pass will count, every pit stop must be planned, and the driver must be aggressive when it counts. This is short track racing.
Welcome back to Wisconsin. It's time to go racing once again with the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards, and this is the Montgomery Ward 200. It's all going to go down right here at Madison International Speedway in Oregon, Wisconsin. 5th stop on the Sioux Chief Short Track Challenge, but 1 weekend to go is anything but a short track as they were racing at Michigan with speeds approaching some 200 miles per hour.
Your General Tire Pole Award winner, Brandon Jones, chose the outside alongside Vinnie Miller, and they would lead him to the stripe for the 100 laps here at Michigan.
Sheldon Creed was leaking some oil, and our race leader drove right into it. Spun the car out, but somehow managed to keep that thing off the wall.
He would have his work cut out for him for sure. He would make it to the pits, get 4 fresh General Tires, and work his way back up to the front.
Then it was Riley Herbst who was having alternator issues. He gets together with Vinnie Miller. Riley Herbst fresh off a win at Pocono. Those two get together, and Vinnie Miller gets up into the wall. Riley would spin, but they weren't done.
Yeah, Kyle Benjamin also having issues there coming off turn number 4. He would spin as well in that number 15. And then later in the race, you can see right there Kyle Weatherman in the 78 into the backstretch retaining wall, and that allowed Brandon Jones to retake the lead with 7 to go.
Brandon Jones would bring it home 2 consecutive years as he won here at Michigan in 2016 and also took the victory here this year, just 1 weekend ago.
So here's a look at your top 10 at Michigan with Brandon Jones picking up the win. Points leader Terrio coming home second. Dalton Sargent on the podium comes home third. Brett Holmes and Gus Dean rounding out your top 5.
It was a very exciting finish, needless to say, and we expect more exciting racing here tonight in beautiful Wisconsin. It's a gorgeous night out here. Ladies and gentlemen, Ken Stout and Rob Klepper, we welcome you. Can't wait to get things going here. And when you talk about Wisconsin, well, you might not think of famous race car drivers, but this is a hotbed of very talented drivers up here in this state. Right off the bat, we have to mention Paul Menard. How about Alan Kowicki? The entire Sauter gang. You want to do something other than oval track racing? Well, how about sports car racing? Peter Cunningham, certainly a standout. Off-road racing, the Flannerys, the Greaves boys, they can get it done. And we expect the same thing right here at this racetrack because some big names have sailed through here.
Yeah, and one of the biggest, and that being Dick Trickle, multi-time champ, 72 wins here at this racetrack. Matt Kenseth, a Cup champion, also a champion here at Madison, 27 wins to his credit. Mark Martin has won here. Rusty Wallace has won here. Kevin Sawinski, ASA champion, owner of Wintron Racing, has won at Madison. I mean, Bill Venturini's got a late model win here. I mean, you put your name in the history books if you can win at this racetrack, and there's 20-plus drivers trying to do that here tonight.
And by the way, that's just to name a few up here. I mean, we're just getting going. So we look forward to a great night here for sure. And speaking of great nights, how about a great season as we approach the halfway mark? 9 of 20 here tonight. And of the previous 8, 7 different winners. It has been an incredible season.
Yeah, Austin Terrio, the only driver to double up. He won the opener at Daytona, followed up with a big win, a close win, a barn burner, if you will, at Elko Speedway. But 3 first-time ARCA winners, with Chad Finley winning at Nashville. We also saw Harrison Burton at Toledo, and most recently Riley Herbst picking up his first career ARCA win at the racetrack in Pocono. So very exciting to see those guys, and there's some pretty good talent here. We could see another first-time winner. We could see another different winner here tonight. It's a great field of cars, and it's going to be fun to watch them here tonight.
Without a doubt. We are also reaching the halfway point of our Sioux Chief Short Track Challenge. We've had 4 different winners in the first 4 rounds there as well. The points will be tight right to the very end, but currently coming in, it's Austin Terrio, followed by Dalton Sargent, and Dalton Sargent, who has qualified on the pole here tonight. Well, Jim Trado, Dalton Sargent's hoping to make it the first repeat winner in the Sioux Chief Short Track Challenge part of this championship inside of a championship, and he is our General Tire Pole Award winner.
And earning the General Tire Polo Award, Dalton Sargent, second in the points. You get 5 big ones, 5 points towards the championship. How important is it, though, to start up front here at Madison?
It's definitely really important. You know, I think track position is definitely pretty big here. It's pretty difficult to pass here at Madison, so just pretty excited to be able to get this pole position for the guys at Cunningham Motorsports. They brought a great 77 big time forward, and you know, can't say thank you enough to all the guys at General Tire. And just winning this pole is definitely, hopefully, going to help us out, you know, tonight during the race as well as in the hunt for the championship, just gaining those 5 extra points.
How about pit strategy here at Madison, this big high-banked racetrack?
Yeah, it's definitely really important. You know, I think track position can kind of change a lot of things up. So I leave that up to the crew chief, Chad Bryant, to make those calls on when to pit and when not to. But I think you just kind of got to watch and see how the race kind of unfolds at first and then go from there.
Dalton, we wish you well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Speaking of pit strategies, guys, there's a couple of windows of opportunity. You can pit at any time you want during the race, but more importantly, if you want to set the pace, you might want to pit early to dictate when others want to pit. You'll get track position because others will pit after you. So that's an early pit window. Other teams will want to do a 2 pit stop strategy, say around lap 80 and maybe lap 150 to get 4 or 2 fresh tires during those stops. And other teams find that they want to maybe go till halfway, a little bit past halfway, lap 120 to 130, and do 1 stop for 2 or 4 tires depending on track position. So those are kind of the pit stop strategies, pit stop windows we'll keep an eye on here from pit road.
We have to go back to 1970. That's the first time we came here, and Ramo Stott, the 2-time ARCA champ, was the inaugural winner. Fast forward 38 years, and we find a new one.
Yeah, Alex Bowman picked up the win in 2011, followed by Chris Buescher, the 2012 champion, visited Victory Lane right here at Madison.
We will have our 9th different winner here tonight. Stay with us. We'll be right back with more racing action as we kick things off here at Madison International Speedway.
The ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards. Television broadcast is brought to you by Scott 1000, America's longest-lasting roll of national brands. General Tire, anywhere is possible. And by Lucas Oil, made in America, sold to the world.
And welcome back to the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards. This is the Montgomery Ward 200. Let's talk about this racetrack and actually the location where we're at here in Wisconsin.
Yeah, Oregon was settled back in 1841. The first house constructed not too much after that. If you look at this racetrack, it was built in the early 50s. It was originally a quarter-mile dirt track, paperclip shaped oval, about 18-degree banking in the corners. It is a half-mile, and these guys love to run this racetrack. ARCA came here after about a 40-year absence back in 2011, and it's known as the fastest half mile right here in Wisconsin.
And let's get it down to Jim Trado.
When it comes to the Sioux Chief Short Truck Challenge, there's 11 races total this season that add up points within the season. After the first 4 races, one thing to point out, the fast guys continue to be fast, including here at Madison. 4 of the top 5 qualifiers are in our top 5 in the points in the Sioux Chief Short Track Challenge. Austin Terrio leading with only a 6th place finish as his worst run in the 4 races, back with the car that he won with here at Elko Speedway. Salem winner Dalton Sargent, average finish of 5th. He finished 2nd at Toledo. He looks for a win. Christian Eckes, what can you say? The kid's done everything but win. He's led the most laps at Salem. He finished 2nd at Elko. Zane Smith, his average 6.5. 6th at Elko the last 2 short track races, and 4th at Toledo. And Riley Herbst, that young 18-year-old, improving. P3 at Elko after leading from the pole, led the most laps in the race. So as that plays out, they're all in the top 8 here in the field. I expect they will be a factor again here tonight, but they lead our points after 4 events.
Let's get it down to Don Radoboff as he has a special guest for the most famous words in racing.
And now for the most famous words in motorsports, here to give the command for the Montgomery Ward 200 from Montgomery Ward, Ivy Coppervig.
Drivers, start your engines!
And those Elmore 396s fire up. They scream to life, producing well over 700 horsepower, and they'll put them all to use here tonight on this short half mile. Great looking string of cars. Here's a look at the starting grid. Dalton Sargent qualifying on the pole will lead him to the stripe alongside young Zane Smith. Then Austin Terrio, our points leader, alongside Tanner Thorson making his debut here. Christian Eckes and Ryan Repko. Ryan also a first-timer here. Gus Dean and Riley Herbst round out row 4.
Yeah, great field of cars here. As you can see, Shane Lee for Cunningham Motorsports in the 22 alongside Justin Fontaine there in the 33 for Wintron Racing. AJ Fike, who had a pretty good top 10 here last year at this racetrack there in row 6. Brett Holmes to the outside. Thomas Prater Moose inside row 7 in 13th spot. Will Kimmel here. Rick Tackman, Brad Smith, the longtime veteran with the ARCA Racing Series.
We go back to row 9, find Eric Cadell and Dick Duhaney. Then it's Mark Munier, Con Nicolopoulos in row 10, and we will round out the field with Mike Basham. The Montgomery Ward 200 about to begin here, and that 77 car is hoping he can be the first person to win 2 of these Sioux Chief Short Track Challenge events.
Yeah, this will cap off a long month for these race teams. You go back to Elko Speedway, over to Pocono, then back over to Michigan, and then across Lake Michigan over here as we take a look at tonight's weather forecast. It is absolutely beautiful. High of 79 here today, just a little bit of wind. Had some wind gusts, maybe 20 miles an hour or so, but a few clouds in the sky, and it's beautiful here in Wisconsin. Expect a heck of a night of racing.
Yeah, it is nice, and I mean, it's just perfect temperature. It's supposed to cool off pretty nicely here tonight, down into the 50s. So that is good horsepower air as they start out here and try to get a little bit of heat inside of those tires. We had a chance to talk to a number of the drivers here. They use a lot of brake here to try and get through these turns. The turns are very tight here for this half mile, and consequently the straightaways are a little bit longer. So it'll take some patience to get here, and they'll have to preserve those tires as best they can.
Yeah, and preserve those brakes as well. These guys driving it in pretty hard will hit the brakes to work around the low part of the racetrack. As you can see, there is Dalton Sargent. One win, of course, at Salem, lapped the field, 4 top 5s, 7 top 10s so far this year. And Sargent certainly going to be one to watch. He was 4th in final practice earlier today. That was led by points leader Austin Terrio, then laid down the big number in qualifying.
Zane Smith driving for the Venturini gang. The young gun is so talented, but boy, he's had a couple of big moments right at the finish line there. Coming across at Elko, was in a big wreck and got out of that car very gingerly, then had a right front tire blowout at Michigan, and boy, he hit the wall a ton. As we take a look at the 32 car of Gus Dean, and talk about somebody that has been consistent. 3 consecutive top 5s in the last 3 races, and was nearly on the podium at Michigan, cut a tire down. He said, a lot of people say I'm unlucky because I finished 5th. I was in 3rd. He said, but I call it very lucky because I was able to hang on to the car and drive it with a flat right front through turns 3 and 4 and make it across the straight without crashing it.
Yeah, moved up to 6th in the points. He currently leads the Scott Rookie Challenge Rookie of the Year points by 4 over Brett Holmes. So that Wintron Racing number 32, as we mentioned earlier, Kevin Swinski, the owner, has won here before, knows this racetrack pretty well, and we expect a pretty good night for Gus Dean in that 32 car.
Yeah, Gus Dean just ahead of Brett Holmes by a couple of points here in this battle for the Scott Rookie Challenge. And there's a look at Brett Holmes in that number 23 car. A couple of top 5s, 4 top 10s, and he just edged him out. In fact, finished 4th in Michigan, just 1 spot ahead of Gus Dean. So he's been picking away at it as he's just 4 points back from Gus Dean in that Scott Rookie Challenge.
And here at Madison, it's the 5th track in a row that is new for Brett Holmes in the ARCA Racing Series. He said he actually talked to Grant Enfinger about how to get around this racetrack. You think it helped out a little bit, and turned in a pretty decent qualifying effort, so he'll have a good hot rod here tonight. There's Riley Herbst for Joe Gibbs Racing. We documented, of course, the big winner at Pocono, his first career win with the series in his rookie season, 3 top 5s, and that NOS Energy Drink UFC gym car has been lightning quick every time he hits the track.
Yeah, he had a tough go of it at Michigan, so looking to rebound from that after that win at Pocono as well. Let's get it back down to Jim.
Well, guys, one thing debatable already is, do I start on the inside or the outside? Dalton Sargent had a discussion with his crew chief. He said, I don't know. Chad wants me to start on the outside. He thinks that's the better line in, but on new tires, they're going to stay on the inside line. The pole winner has choice. Sargent sticks at the bottom.
Yeah, from what we've talked to, they want to be right on the bottom. I talked with Riley Herbst just a little bit, and he said, we watched him in practice. I said, man, you were right on the line down at the bottom. He said, that's where you got to be. And his car looked like it was turning really well. Talked to Repco as well. Ryan said, he said, man, we have a good car here. He said, it takes a few laps to come in, but our car's good. So young man making his debut here is looking for a good night as well. And how about Tanner Thorson? great qualifying effort inside of the top 5. Boom. So this is how you do it. I got this.
Yeah, the reigning USAC National Midget Racing Champion making his ARCA debut on the pavement. Now, he ran for Venturini last year at Springfield, started 5th and finished 12th. So he was on the dirt mile last year. He'll race here tonight, and he'll go to DeCoin. One more race for Venturini.
Pace truck is in. Dalton Sargent lights up the rear tires in the 77 car and is going to try to hang on. He's going to get pressure right here into 1 for sure. Zane Smith on the outside. He runs Zane a little bit high. Zane says, man, I want this thing. He knows he made a small mistake there. Dalton I'm talking about, but now he's going to have to fall in. We were talking to the cats from Cunningham. They said, hey, man, we don't have to go out here and win the first half of this race. We can stay calm here in the beginning.
See Tanner Thorson there kind of hung out on the outside part of the racetrack with Christian Eckes in the 15 trying to the inside of him. There is Terrio right in front of them as they go side by side through turns 3 and 4. Rear end kind of dancing around here early.
Tanner Thorson in that 25 car. On the inside, the 15 of Christian Eckes, both of them extremely talented, both of them Venturini cars as they chase down that Kenny Schrader, number 52 points leader car driven by Austin Terrio.
Yeah, and it looks like Thorson is going to give up the spot to Christian Eckes. Eckes has raced 4 races this year. He's led in every single race he's run. He's led a total of 225 laps, still looking for his first career win. Tonight could be his night.
Yeah, we're all sitting around talking about who would we pick if we had no idea who we were going to go with tonight. And the 15 car comes up a lot, man. Christian Eckes is no doubt pounding on the door for his first win.
So early in this race, you're going to see these guys, they're not going to battle it out too much, as it looks like the 10 car, Phil Haney, pulls into the infield. Looks like that is going to end his night as he heads to the grass part of the inside here, right inside the quarter-mile racetrack.
Finished 22nd is Mobile 200.
But a lot of teams saying that, you know, early in this race, we want to feel what the car's like. We practice in the daytime, we qualify in the daytime. We need to find out if this track's going to change when the sun goes down. More than likely, it will cool off, obviously, and it probably will get a little bit more grip. But like Austin Terrio said, I don't know for sure what this track's going to do, so we just need to feel the car out.
Good look at the 15 and the 25. We've got to talk about Tanner Thorson if you're not familiar with him, because he is an absolute superstar, a Toyota development driver. He has pretty much done everything he can do inside of an open wheel car, driving in the USAC sanctioning by the little smoke there out of that 25 car as well. And I asked him, I said, a lot of brakes around here? He looked at me, he started chuckling, he said, man, I don't know, no brakes. He said, some brakes. I'm not sure what I did, but you mentioned it before, the 2016 USAC National Midget Champion, won the Chili Bowl Race of Champions, finished 3rd in Power I, 2015 National Midget Driver of the Year. I mean, we are talking about a talented driver as they squeeze up 3 wide around the 0 car of Con Nicolopoulos.
Con Nicolopoulos making his 50th career ARCA Racing Series start here tonight. Good to see the 0 car back, but yeah, Tanner Thorson now has that 18er. Riley Herbst right behind him. That's the battle for 5th. Gus Dean back there as well. Looks like Thorson having some issues coming off turn number 2, and a lot of drivers are telling us, crew chiefs and crew members saying that turn 2 is key. That's how you set someone up for a pass down in turn 3. You've got to get through 1 and 2 good here at Madison.
And that is Thorson right there. He's going to make some small mistakes here. We said, have you had any testing? He says, yeah, it's going to happen here in about 10 minutes when I get in the car. And that's about it. So he's going to make some mistakes with this big, heavy car until he gets used to it. But you can see the driving talent there and his ability to recover.
Back up front with Dalton Sargent. A couple car length advantage over the 55 of Zane Smith. Smith, one of those drivers that could get his first career ARCA Racing Series win here at Madison. Continue that story of different winners each and every night, with the exception of Austin Terrio. And Smith looking pretty good here early.
Yeah, Zane is he's a great kid. His father's a great guy as well, and we told this story a couple of times how they're all but family with the Herbst, and he and Riley Herbst, and of course Riley and he getting together there at ALCO was the cause of that big wreck. And man, it was a big one right at the stripe for sure, but he has rebounded nicely, came back and ran Pocono, and then, of course, as you talked about, had that massive hit at Michigan, but it was good to see him back here in a race car.
Yeah, if you take out the big crash at Michigan, I mean, he hasn't finished out of the top 10 yet, as we see the caution coming out for Con Nicolopoulos there in that 0 car out of Columbus, Michigan. Wayne Peterson Racing Dodge. One of the steel body cars, one of the few steel body cars here tonight.
Driving for Wayne Peterson.
Yeah, majority of the teams these days going to the composite car with the ARCA Ilmor 396. There's a handful of steel body cars with the Legacy engine package. You know, talking to the Moose, Thomas Prater, he said, I decided to, you know, bring that Legacy engine here. We can twist it harder. That ARCA Ilmor 396, they're about 7,500 RPMs. If you can twist the Legacy engine 85 plus 100 RPMs, well, that might help me slow down a little bit when I get in the corner.
Absolutely. They can use that gear to help them out just a little bit and save some brakes. All right, we'll be back in just a moment. We'll get them re-racked here. There's a look at your top 5. More racing to come. Welcome back to the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards. This is the Montgomery Ward 200. We're at Madison International Speedway. Just getting going here for this event. We did have a couple of cars pits while we were at commercial break. The Moose, Thomas Prater came in. The number 9 car made a chassis adjustment, and also the 27 of A.J. Fike was wanting them to open up the pits and get in here as well. And we know Jim Trado is working hard, but Jim, you have some more as well on the 15 car. We'll get to Jim here in just a moment as well, as the pace truck is still out there. Dalton Sargent still leading the group. And there's a look at Christian Eckes. A little tight in the center is what we're hearing. And then also for Tanner Thorson, we saw him blow some smoke off the front end. So he's trying to get that thing locked down, and since then that left front rotor's been on fire.
Yeah, so
not literally, it's glowing. It's close to fire.
Yeah, going from a midget race car a few weeks ago, he ran some All-Star Sprint Week events this past week, a few days ago, I should say, and then he's headed back to Atomic in the Buckeye State to run tomorrow night Wing 410 sprint car on the dirt. So he said these things are just different. You know, it's hard to describe coming from the dirt to the pavement. Everybody makes it sound like it's easier than going from the pavement to the dirt, and it usually is, but you jump in an ARCA car with this kind of field, you better be ready to rock.
Had a little debris on the front stretch, so I think we might go around here one more time. When I did ask him about the brakes, he said, well, as I said, he was chuckling before. He said, what brakes? And basically what he was saying was this big, heavy boat just does not stop in comparison to what a super late would do. He said, man, you stand on the brakes on the super late and they stop, but that's the big weight. That's the transition, and that's why these young kids are being developed here as they work their way up. They want to get into trucks, they want to get into Xfinity, and obviously up into Cup, but they have to learn how to drive these heavy cars. Let's get it down to Jim.
A.J. Fike knows a thing about driving a loose race car, finishing as high as third in the USAC Silver Crown points just a few years ago. He was one of the guys that came to pit road. I asked the crew chief, Dan Glaus, was it a brake issue? He said, no, we just had to snug him up a little bit, tighten that car up a bit too free under these cool conditions for A.J.
Copy that, and of course, A.J. Fike, another open wheel standout, can certainly get it done in a midget. But following the entire tour here this year, chasing points with us here at the ARCA Racing Series.
Yeah, first time since 2004, Fikester ran 7th in the points back then. He actually started 21st here at Madison last year and finished 8th, so had a good run here last year, and Dan Glaus and the boys will get that thing hooked up, try and get him to the front.
Yeah, Dan with so much experience as well, and by the way, we heard Pops Fike is feeling a little bit better after he took a header on the bicycle, so we hope he's doing good. And one more time, we heard that there was debris on the racetrack, and
it looks like that Dalton Sargent has chosen the outside part of the racetrack here, so he will start to the outside of row number 1, as it looks like we will get the 1 to go signal from Rocky Anderson on top of the flag stand, so we'll go green next time around.
And as you can see, they will start double file. Very exciting restarts here with this series. And we'll finish this thing under green. That's what we love about that. We can say that right now.
Yeah, right now it looks like Zane Smith, the fastest lap, first 21 laps of this race. They were about 18.3 and change earlier today in final practice. They're around 18.1, 18.2, a little quicker as the track cooled down. And so far here about 18.5s and 6s is what we're seeing in the top 10 right now.
Yeah, the field's so tight, as it always is. And you've got to be on your game. You really need to unload good, because there just is not much time
and we'll
to change these things around.
Find out right now if Sargent can work that outside to get back into the lead.
Side by side they go, and it looked like Zane Smith might have had a little edge there. My apologies to 77, just a little edge there. And here comes Zane Smith, though.
And they are still side by side, and we'll see if Smith can work that low part of the racetrack. He's got the preferred line coming off turn 4, and Sargent's still there. Christian Eckes hanging back in third, just watching these guys go side by side.
I don't think Sargent's going to pull this off. I think the lead is going to go to the 55 car. He might hang out there for a little bit, but if Zane just runs his corner, stays calm, I think he eventually wins this battle.
And if you stay side by side on the outside, you will use up your tires and use up your equipment in a hurry, so he needs to either make it work, and it looks like he has made it work.
Well, he was clear right there to the bottom, but did not pull the trigger. Stays on the outside, and he proves me wrong because he is way clear right now, and he's about a half a lane up. Oh, Zane could turn him right there, but did not.
That just goes to show you how good that big-time Ford for Cunningham Motorsports is with Dalton Sargent behind the wheel to be able to run that outside part of the racetrack. And watching last year's race and talking to drivers and crew chiefs, with 4 fresh General tires on a restart, the outside line definitely you can drive around someone. With used tires, laps on your tires, it's a lot more difficult to do. Sargent make it look pretty easy right there.
Well, the 15 car was talking about being tight in the middle, but boy, he just rotated through 1 and 2 very nicely, and the car looks good right there as well. He's able to pull it right down onto the bottom. He's closed up on the back of the 55 car, and now starting to apply a little bit of pressure.
Yeah, Zane Smith falling back a little bit from leader Dalton Sargent. Christian Eckes there right behind him. Still, I guess you can throw a blanket over 1, 2, 3, and you can go back to 4th place. Tanner Thorson back there.
And the Venturini car is doing a great job here. We talked about that before since we came back in 2011. Venturini winning 3 times here.
Yeah, they got this place clocked pretty well, and Cunningham has struggled here, you know, in the past few years. And looks like they got their things turned around here. Oh, almost got the car turned around as Zane Smith to the inside.
Well, Zane definitely closed up on him in 3 and 4, and he stuck the nose in there and said, I want it. They go 3 wide right there. Near down on the bottom of that 06, a lapper, of course, and here comes Christian Eckes. It's going to follow him right through.
Christian Eckes with a good hot rod. Though he was complaining and not very good coming off the corner. Maybe that caution is what he needed to change his race line a little bit to make it a little bit better as he takes second now from Dalton Sargent. Zane Smith to the point.
So the 2 Venturini cars sail up to 1st and 2nd, and Tanner Thorson is right back there. He is pounding on it as well. And don't count out Riley Herbst.
Yeah, Herbst up there has gotten by Tanner Thorson to take over 4th and was very close to getting by Dalton Sargent for 3rd. Austin Terrio now up in the mix as he runs 6th.
And we're into an area where these guys just have not been. Nobody got this many laps on their cars in a session during practice. So the car's starting to react a little bit different. You can see Tanner wagging the tail just a little bit. As the points leader, Austin Terrio is behind that 25 car.
Oh, yeah. Riley Herbst almost into the rear bumper, or he did get him just a little bit. That could allow Thorson to the inside of Herbst.
And you can see that rotor glowing for Thorson as he will take the spot. Drives down under the 77 car, and boy, the 77 car has lost some pace here quickly.
Well, talking to the Cunningham guys, you know, they said, hey, we can fall back. We don't have to set the pace. We don't have to use up our stuff. If we fall back 5th, 6th, 7th, somewhere around there, stay with the lead cars, see how the strategy plays out. We know tires come into play. If we don't catch any more cautions, we're going to see green flag pit stops. It just all depends how the strategy plays out here tonight, this 200 lap.
And once again, dealing with the lap cars down there. That is the 2 car of Eric Cottle. The 77 cars you were talking about before, Dalton Sargent has just been incredibly consistent. as we watch him now lose another position, with the exception of Talladega, where he finished 27th. He's been in the top 10 in every race. Of course, had that win at Salem, and that is the car that he won in Salem as well. Finished third at our last race at Michigan, the 77 car.
There's Austin Terrio, our points leader, who has been the definition of consistency. Worst finish this year, 9th. Only two-time winner so far this year. How about the 32? Gus Dean taking a peek to the inside. You see right there, Gus Dean able to roll the bottom part of that racetrack. Terrio about a half a car width off of it. If your car's turning really good, especially down in turns 1 and 2, you can make up a lot of time. So
Dalton Sargent has fallen from 1st to 5th and still being hounded here by our points leader, Austin Terrio. Kenny Schrader entry there, the number 52, and Gus Dean, the Grease-sponsored number 32, and the Wintron-owned car, and he's going to sail down underneath Austin Terrio, and he's going to get this spot.
And he's trying to bring, or Shane Lee's trying to take advantage as well there in that Cunningham number 22, and it looks like he will make it work there through turns 1 and 2.
And that's what happens, right? I mean, if your car's a little bit tight, you just can't pull it down there on the bottom of the turn. You can't protect.
Yeah, that was one thing we were talking about earlier today is if you know, AJ Fike must have been extremely loose if they came in and tightened it up. But you could be a little loose here and be okay. If that front end's jumping to the outside part of the racetrack, if you just can't run down low, you're going to be in for a long night.
Shane Lee with a couple of big moments here this year as well. One of those being at Toledo. Finished deep at Pocono as well, but the 22 car is fast. We were talking to the Cunningham guys, and that crew has been very diligent as they've worked extremely hard, literally rebuilding cars. Nearly 3 cars had the front clip that one there because that's the one he was in the wreck with at Elko. So that team has worked extremely hard to keep all of these cars out here and running, and boy, have they done a fabulous job.
Back up front to the 55, that is your leader, Zane Smith.
All right, we're going to take a short break here. Go pay some bills, and we'll come right back. Things are starting to heat up here at Madison. And welcome back. It is a beautiful evening here for the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards. We're at the Montgomery Ward 200 Madison International Speedway, and while we were at break, the number 2 car of Eric Cottle out of Piedmont, Oklahoma, unfortunately spun that thing out, and everybody had to dodge him. There's a look at it right there, and right in front of our leader, Zane Smith, who's able to gather it up, get it woed down, as they say, in oval track racing. In other words, slow it down.
Yeah, Cottle did a great job to get that thing spun and then stay on the brakes and not drift up the racetrack, not slide down, because it looked like 1 or 2 cars went to the outside there and some went to the inside. So he did a good job there and got it turned around and should be able to restart no problem.
So, of course, it immediately brings up the subject, is anybody going to pit? The leaders did not pit. 47 laps in here. 48 laps completed, I should say, and they're all going to hold off here for now. And a year ago, I believe we only had 3 caution flags, if I'm not mistaken, and we had one pretty early on, one just about now, maybe in the 30s, and then it went again for a pretty good ways.
You could see Cottle going ahead and making a pit stop. We also saw the yellow 34 Darrell Basham Racing Chevy driven by Mike Basham. There it is, the bottom of your screen. Little chassis adjustments, top him off with fuel. Doesn't look like he will make any tire changes. Yeah, just a little early for these lead pack teams to come in here and make a pit stop. Probably about 30 laps early.
And let's get it down to Jim.
Dalton Sargent, our early race leader, no concerns of how he lost the lead. The driver's a bit worried about his brakes. So what they said is back up your corner. Crew Chief Chad Bryant assured him, you need to save your brakes. Some of the other guys ahead of us, they're starting to glow. They're getting through that heat pattern. So he said, ease on the brakes, roll in on your entry. And Dalton said, my car's a bit free on entry. I'll do what I can. But again, the crew chief reminding him over and over, save your brakes. The top 3 or 4 cars, including Riley Herbst sitting in 4th. His left front was glowing here, guys, in those final moments of the last green flag run.
Yeah, I agree, and thanks a lot for that, Jim. certainly makes sense now, and there were a number of cars that had some glowing rotors there in the front, so a smart move there out of the 77 car to try and save that thing for later, and that's exactly what we were talking to those guys about.
Yeah, I mean, not only can you wear the pads out, you can heat up the fluid, and you can just run out of brakes. You go to push it down, and nothing happens, and that's something that Tanner Thorson said, you know, you need brakes here at this racetrack, and these cars are big. I'm not used to them, and you need to be able to slow them down. So the problems that he has with his brakes early, he needs to try and, as Jim said, back that corner up a little bit, not really use on the brakes as we get back to green, roll through the corners a little bit better, and he'll be able to save it towards the end. But right now, that 25 is looking all right.
Zane Smith down on the bottom of the 55 car, the 15 of Christian Eckes up high, and then it's Riley Herbst. 3 teenagers absolutely going for it. Tanner Thorson all over the place back behind them, and we've got one spun around, and we'll see if they bring out the caution flag here. I think they're going to have to. Con Nicolopoulos is sitting between turns 1 and 2, and they will force the caution flag.
Third caution flag here at the Montgomery Ward 200. Con Nicolopoulos bringing it out here on lap number 51. He brought out the first caution of the race on lap 14.
And Con drives for Wayne Peterson. We were speaking to him before. I believe Wayne Peterson just ran at the Michigan race. Finished at the end of that one, down at the bottom, but it was pretty cool to see Wayne back in a race car. He's been a fixture here with the ARCA Racing Series Tour for decades as both a car owner and driver, one of the most respected ARCA members here in the garage, and has fielded cars for dozens of drivers. Has 81, now 82 career ARCA starts as a driver, and served as a crew member for NASCAR champ Richard Petty for many seasons, and also served several tours of duty in Vietnam, marches part of Special Forces in the Kennedy funeral procession, interpreted foreign languages for President Nixon. I believe that's something you might have done, Rob, and went to Cuba during the Bay of Pigs and performed missions all over the world. I mean, and that's just a little bit of what that guy has done. He is an exceptional individual, and we are certainly proud to have him out here with us in the ARCA Racing Series.
So some pretty sporty restarts, especially coming off turn 2. We saw Tanner Thorson. He's getting that rear end just dancing around every time he comes off turn 2 on these restarts. So we'll see how it shakes out here as we'll get lined up once again.
Well, the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards has long attracted aspiring young drivers to the series, some for just a race or two, some for a year or two, and they also run for that Scott Rookie Challenge Rookie of the Year award. Today, as part of our Scott Rookie Spotlight, we take a look at the driver, the number 23 Chevrolet, Brett Holmes. Holmes inching closer to that Scott Rookie Challenge point leader, Gus Dean, last week at Michigan with a 4th place finish, just 1 spot ahead of Gus Dean.
Yeah, Holmes 2 top 5 finishes in the last 3 races. Was 4th at Elko and 4th most recently last week at Michigan. He's had a pretty good year, you know. We debuted at Nashville back in 2016. He qualified 2nd. Actually had the track record till Chase Briscoe went out and beat it. Ran 5th, leading 6 laps. And here's a look at the Scott Rookie Challenge points. As we mentioned, Brett Holmes just right there on the back of that 32 Gus Dean.
Yeah, and Riley Herbst, of course, Zane Smith, Eric Cottle. And keep in mind that Riley Herbst and Zane Smith were not able to compete at all of the races because they were too young. They were too young to run at Daytona. Zane couldn't run at Daytona or Talladega. Riley Herbst turned 18, I believe, 6 days after Daytona. So this thing is going to shake down as they get towards the end of this hunt for our Scott Rookie Challenge.
So it looks like Christian Eckes there in the 15 for Venturini Motorsports has decided the inside pole position, if you will, for this restart. Saw Nicolopoulos in through the pits, Cottle back in the pits as well in the number 2 car.
Well, they saw the 77 car get up there and make it work, and then Dalton Sargent decided to back off a little bit, as we heard from Jim Trado, to try and save some brakes. So looks like Zane Smith is going to get up there on the top and see if he can make it work.
I think this may be the first time we see Tanner Thorson restarting on the outside, so we'll see how that number 25 does. He's been a little loose on restarts, especially coming off turn 2, stabbing the gas a little too much. We'll see how it shakes out here. Is a good restart for Eckes in the 15.
Yeah, well, he got a nice little bump from Riley, I think, to help him through the turn. Riley Herbst in that NOS-sponsored number 18. Of course, that's a Joe Gibbs entry. Coy Gibbs, keep an eye over that program. And Riley Herbst, as we talked about, picking up that win at Pocono.
Gus Dean making a nice move on the outside lane around Dalton Sargent. Now in that 5th position right behind Tanner Thorson as they battle coming off turn 2.
Zane carried good speed in there, but you can see in the middle of the turn, to get that thing rotated, he lost all of that and gets back behind Riley Herbst. The 2 kids that have grown up together, and man, it's like magnets. You know, they're like magnets. They can't get away from each other. Oh, a big moment right there. Tanner Thorson down to the bottom, and of course Gus Dean in that 32 car. And I'd love to see it again, but my initial thought is Tanner just could not get that thing stopped.
Yeah, Gus Dean had been rolling the outside very well. He got around Sargent over in turns 3 and 4. As we take another look at what happened.
Oh, yeah, he just never even turned in.
Yeah, and you could see him. He locked the brakes up right there, entering turn number 1, knowing that he was going to miss that turn. And unfortunately, Dean just kind of a victim of circumstance.
Yeah, that's the wild card with racing with rookies and making their debut. And Dean holding his line, turning in down there, thinking that Thorson is going to make the turn. And as you mentioned, Thorson locking up those front tires, could not get the car to turn in.
Yeah, I think
drove right into him.
Tanner just figured, I'm not going to make this turn. I need to lock him up right now. And unfortunately, Dean was there. Doesn't look like any damage to the 32, so he should be able to continue on.
So we'll get him back around there. We'll keep up with all the action that goes on while we take a quick break. There's a look at your top 5. It's ever-changing. We'll be right back. And welcome back to round 5 of the Sioux Chief Short Track Challenge here at the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards, Montgomery Ward 200. We had a moment just a moment ago. Tanner Thorson down to the bottom, could not get the 25 Musselman's car stopped and rotated, and collects the 32 car of Gus Dean in the process.
Yeah, tough break for Gus Dean in that Greek Cooling Products number 32 for Wintron Racing. Doesn't take much to spin him out. It didn't seem like he had much damage on that car, but he did come into the pit area while we were at commercial break and got 4 fresh tires.
Let's get it down to Jim.
The 78 came in, guys. They wanted to get 4 tires on. Kevin Reed has been a winning crew chief here at Madison. Ryan Repko slid the tires trying to avoid that incident, so he said nothing the kid could do. He slid 4. We wanted to put fresh tires on. Now keep in mind, Kevin Reed also won here with a car that went long towards the end of it. At this point in the race in 2013, his driver was Kyle Benjamin. There was no other cautions for the rest of the race, and they went on to win convincingly. So Kevin's strategy playing here, he said, hey, we can't risk it with the flat spots, but he also knows this could be a winning strategy with others still having to come to pit road.
Yeah, and keep in mind the MMR team finished second here last year with Weatherman driving back behind the wheel. Has led for 163 of 400 laps here over the course of 2 races. That team's really, really strong, no question about it. So hopefully Ryan can get back in the hunt here.
Gus Dean also coming in for the 4 tires, as we mentioned. AJ Fight came in and got right side tires. So some different strategies being played, and almost into that 60 to 80 lap mark to try and get that first pit stop in. So maybe a little early, but a good chance for these guys to get tires.
Christian Eckes stands on the throttle right there as once again he goes side by side, this time with Riley Herbst, and he washes Riley up, and Zane says, thank you very much, I'll take that. Yeah, and here comes Tanner.
Tanner Thorson to the inside. Dalton Sargent back up in the mix. The 77 racing his way back to the front.
Wow, what a moment right there. So Christian Eckes washes up just a little bit, and Zane Smith just shot right down to the bottom, and now he's starting to drive away.
Yeah, right place, right time for sure.
How about Tanner Thorson, man? I mean, talk about a natural.
Yeah,
First time he's been in one of these big, heavy cars.
Yeah, doing a great job. Ran Springfield last year on the dirt. First time on the pavement here tonight. So far, so good. I mean, obviously an issue there in turn 1. I'm sure no intention to get into the side of the 32, but just doing a phenomenal job here early. Austin Terrio with the 77 early race leader. Dalton Sargent behind him. That is for 5th.
Took him a few laps to figure out he wasn't in the sprint car.
Well, he said, I'm running a wing car tomorrow. You got to keep those cars nice and straight. So I'll get practice here tonight in Madison.
So Riley recovering now, gets down on the bottom and drives underneath Tanner. Tanner a little bit wide there.
Yeah, Terrio not enough of a run there off 4 to get underneath Tanner Thorson. You can see that right front brake rotor's glowing, and coming off turn 2, he just can't keep that thing really low on the racetrack, and that's where those guys will get underneath him.
We'll see how Tanner does there with that car towards the end of the race, and he's using up those brakes, as Jim Trado talked about early on as well. And a little smoker here, maybe a little smoke out of the 78 car now of Ryan Repko.
Here's Terrio to the inside of Thorson. You can see that thing glowing. Terrio's not glowing. It's a veteran and a rookie. Terrio knows. We talked about it at Elko. He was stalking those guys, had a fast race car, knew how fast his race car was. He's been very happy with this car here today. He led final practice, qualified 3rd. He's going to be a player when it comes down to it here in this one for sure.
Yeah, it's all about the patience here as you watch those two kids go at it of driving these big cars. I mean, you just have to be patient. You can show some speed early on, but keep in mind these things weigh 3,300 pounds. So you just can't drive the wheels off of them for 200 laps. You've got to save the parts and pieces.
So the leaders, 1, 2, 3 on the left of your screen, 4, 5, 6 on the right of your screen. Shane Lee working his way up in there as well, right behind his teammate. Cunningham Motorsports going nose to tail, racing inside of the 25. Here we go up front. Now more smoke from the 78 of Repko. Oh, now trouble for Thorson.
And Thorson out and around. So a spin there will bring out the caution flag immediately as the 25 car gets it righted and picks the speed back up. And we'll go back and take a look at what happened here. Oh, and he got a little bit of help out of Shane Lee. Shane Lee in the 22 car gets down there underneath him and into him, and then nearly collects Brett Holmes down on the bottom as the 22 car tried to get back down out of the way. So Shane Lee, one of the Cunningham entries. He's had some bright moments and he's had some tough moments this year, but Tanner Thorson is he's definitely learning some lessons here tonight. He's had a little bit of everything happen.
Yeah, and still has a pretty fast race car to boot, so was able to get that thing turned around and get back in line, if you will. Now we should see a handful of cars. I would think this would be an opportunity for some of the leaders to come in to the pits. We saw Repko already in the pits. He went in and out very quickly. Cottle's back in the pits.
We're thinking maybe just a tire up there for
on that left rear.
For Repko, possibly. A lot of smoke out of that back of that thing, if that's what it is. Doesn't really look like tire rub to me. That looks more like engine smoke. But we'll let him sort it out. Looks like he's going to pull back out on the track of all things. A lot of smoke out of the back of that one. Let's get it down to Jim.
Well, guys, in the confusion here, wondering when pits will open, our race leader, Zane Smith, will be pitting. His crew chief is Billy Venturini. We mentioned those 3 wins as a team here at Madison. Their biggest worry, all 3 of the Venturini cars, while running in the top 5, had glowing brakes. So what they're going to do is peel some tape off the nose of the car. There's a brake duct opening that's right below the headlight. They want to rip the tape off of that when Zane comes down pit road, and I believe Billy called for 2 tires. We'll watch here from his pit if they do 2 or 4 on our race leader's pit stop here. Also, Tanner Thorson, he's never done a pit stop in his life. Last year at Springfield, they had a very deliberate pit road, unique to any other track. It wasn't really a live pit road for them, so Thorson will be one to watch as well, as when he comes onto pit road, it'll be the first time in a big old stock car here at Madison.
Well, if he did a pit stop, it would probably be in a sprint car at a little 500.
Yeah, maybe a Silver Crown car. I don't know if he's ever drove a Silver Crown car, but he told me, I said, you ready for your first pit stop? He goes, we'll see what happens.
So here they come, all the leaders down onto pit road, and I've got to go with Jim, man. I think the right side tires, if you can do that, if you're ready to take that chance, are a good call based on the number of caution flags we've had so far. You've got to think they're going to come back in again where they can pick up 4 later on in the race.
Everybody coming in right now for tires. We're going to see who takes 2 and who takes 4. I got to imagine a lot of guys will just go with 2 tires based on how this thing is played out. A lot of caution flags to this point. They can assume they're going to get some more, and it looks like, it looks like the 18 took 2. It looks like Terrio took 2.
Once again, 6 guys allowed over the wall, 1 jack, 3 guns, and it looked like Austin Terrio had to come to a stop over there. I don't know if he was purposely stopped by the officials or if he just had to come to a stop, but kind of checked everybody up there coming off of pit road.
So there's Zane Smith in the 55. Icon Vehicle Dynamics on the side. New York bus sales on the side there for Christian Eckes. Repco in the pits, jacked up on the right side. Hood is up, trying to figure out where that smoke is coming from.
Yeah, and underneath the hood there, it looks like there's some residue as well.
Tested for Mason Mitchell Motorsports at his home racetrack, Motor Mile Speedway. Said it's kind of similar to this racetrack here at Madison. They were there earlier this week. Of course, runs a lot of late models. Started out in quarter midgets. 17-year-old driver making his ARCA debut here this evening.
Yeah, said he'd never driven a car this size, and of course the horsepower combination, and then on the radial tires as well. So it was a bit of a learning curve for him, but did a great job. So they're taking a look at that one to see if they can get it fixed up and back out here on the track. While they do that, we'll regroup everybody, and then we'll get them all going here once again for the ARCA Racing Series here at the Montgomery Ward 200.
The ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards. Television broadcast is brought to you by Hers, Forever Good. Protect Plus, official license of DuPont Air and Water Filtration. And by Lucas Oil, made in America, sold to the world.
Boy, that was a gorgeous overhead shot there of Madison International Speedway, and as you can see, we have a packed house here with the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards for the Montgomery Ward 200. Let's take you back and show you why we are under caution. It was a bit of a moment there, and looked like the 22 car of Shane Lee was to get into, unfortunately got up into Tanner. We'll bring that to you in a moment. Instead, let's go down to Jim Trado.
The majority of our leaders took on 2 tires with some chassis adjustments. Again, that long green flag run and that sputter in between hasn't really affected the temperature on the racetrack, but the teams have now found what their cars are like on worn tires. A lot of 2 right side tire changes. You mentioned Tanner Thorson. He was the only car that I could see on my part of pit road I was standing on that took 4 tires out of necessity for the spin. So I asked his crew chief, Dave Liner, who's got a lot of years and laps here at Madison. He said, no worries about the brakes. We know they're glowing, but our driver's doing just fine. No worries yet. These are thicker, bigger road course brakes they use on these cars, and just because they're glowing doesn't mean the pedals go on. But this is another respite for Tanner Thorson, who's been glowing those left front loaders pretty much the entire race. But again, 4 tires for him. I believe all cars ahead of him on track that did pit took 2.
Well, we'll find out how that works out for him. You know, the other side of the combination, too, is that the rotor gets so hot, the wheel gets so hot, and then they can have a tire failure as well based on all the extreme heat. These General tires are phenomenal, but they can't deal with, you know, basically just what is short of a brake rotor. So a brake rotor fire, I should say.
So Rocky Anderson, the flag man, has given the 1 to go signal. Gus Dean.
How about that? Spun out front. Came in, got a little out of sequence, and was able to stay out there with 4 on.
And A.J. Fike will restart.
How about that? The Fikester. Did a great job.
And, of course, the guys that did pit right behind them with Terrio and Herbst. They're in row 2.
So we'll look for the green flag when they come around this time. Dan Glaus, so much experience there on that 27 car up on the box, and Gus Dean, who's been so consistent. They stand on the throttle. Here we go. Gus Dean with the advantage, followed by the 52 car of Austin Terrio. Fight goes a little bit high, opens up the door. Riley Herbst sneaks underneath.
Yeah, here we go. New right side tires versus 4 old tires as Terrio gets by Fike. St. Smith gets by. Herbst gets by. So Fike falling back about 5 spots now as Gus Dean getting some pressure from Terrio.
Yeah, and you can see the dust and dirt that they were kicking up as well. It gets up in the guys' eyes. If they don't have that visor down and sealed off, it'll get in their eyes and make things very difficult for the rest of the race.
Now remember, Gus Dean came in lap 60 and got 4 fresh tires, so they're about 12 laps older than just the right sides that Terrio has, but he had 4 fresh ones, so it'll be interesting to see if Gus Dean can hold these guys off. He should be able to.
Terrio with a good-looking car right down there on that yellow line. It looks like he's going to get up onto the quarter panel there. Spotters will tell him on the quarter. And now sneaking up again. Gus Dean's going to hang on to it, though.
Yeah, doing a great job there coming off turn number 2. But just not able to roll that real real
keep it
low
down on the
part
bottom,
of the racetrack.
right?
Yeah. I mean, you can see Terrio's able to do it, but just can't get enough run to get to the inside of Gus Dean, as Dean's about a car width up all the way around the racetrack.
And you hear us mention it all the time. They're tight, or they're loose, and this is a great example of tight. Tight meaning he just can't get the car to turn down onto the bottom of the track. Now it's possible he wants to run up there maybe a half a lane higher. He feels like it's a little faster way around, but we've not seen a good indication of that from all the fast cars out here so far tonight. So my guess is that car is just a little bit tight. He has to run it up a little bit.
Christian Eck is going side by side with Dalton Sargent there in that 77 around the outside. Eckes will take over that 4th spot. Terrio now with a nice move in turn 1 as he'll try and take the lead from Dean off 2.
And Zane Smith in that 55 car again, right there in the thick of it. He has a good hot rod here tonight. Qualified 2nd. Very comfortable, and it'd be great to see him get a good finish here after a couple of tough races. Although that right front rotor is glowing on his as well.
And Christian Eckes now trying to take advantage as well as Gus Dean remains on the outside part of the racetrack. Everyone will race around Con Nicolopoulos. Maybe some contact there between Eckes and 32.
Yeah, Dean trying to hold him down to the bottom and maybe use Con Nicolopoulos as a pick to try and hold on to that spot, but Christian Eckes was having none of that. Short track battles here on a Saturday night, typically, but Friday night, isn't it? We're having some fun here on a Friday night.
Yeah, the field goes around Brad Smith there in that number 48, Radon.com Ford for James Hill. Put him another lap down.
So exciting. Great to see such a good crowd show up here, too, at this racetrack. It just has a great feel to it. Guys settling in, turning some laps now.
And you can really tell sun all down. It's dark here in Oregon, Wisconsin, and track temps coming down, horsepower going up, and the veteran, if you will, Austin Terrio, doesn't have a lot of starts in ARCA, but just racing experience. You can almost call him a veteran in this series. Christian Eckes with Zane Smith, and it looks like Eckes with ease to the inside. So the 15 rolling pretty well down low as well here as he takes 2nd.
And we are quickly approaching the midway point of this race with 94 completed, working 95. And all the cars starting to heat soak now.
So Terrio, Eckes, and Smith, 1, 2, 3. Gus Dean 4th. Dalton Sargent runs in 5th. You can see up on the ticker there your top 5. Tanner Thorson back to 8th for your open wheel fans. AJ Fike, after starting 2nd, has fallen back to 11th.
Riley right down there on the bottom. Riley getting down onto that apron a little bit in practice, and said it really unsettled the car. Took all the wedge out of the car, as you might imagine. The banking here on TV doesn't show as well as it is. It is pretty steep, and there's a look at Tanner's car. And yeah, man, that's
not for looks.
That's red, right?
Yeah, that's hot.
Don't touch that one. We'll find out how long he can hang on here. Yeah, that is a lot of heat in there. Keep in mind the wheel bearings are in there. That grease inside of those wheel bearings, I mean, it gets hot. It affects a lot of things down in there when it has that extreme heat for a long amount of time.
And for a driver like Tanner Thorson, you know, every lap he's gaining experience. He came out of the box. He was 6th quick in final practice. He was good in qualifying. He's running the top 10. You got to be happy with that.
All right, once again, we're going to take a quick break here, and we'll get you right back to the action. Finally putting some laps in here as we reach the halfway point here at the Montgomery Ward 200. Austin Terrio, your points leader, leading them all. We are just past the halfway point here with the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards. Montgomery Ward 200 at Madison International Speedway. So it's time now for our Protect Plus mid-race recap. Take it back to the start of this one. Dalton Sargent qualifying on the pole alongside the 55 of Zane Smith.
Yeah, Dalton Sargent was very fast early. In fact, the top 10 cars were dicing it up. Riley Herbst and Gus Dean going at it early here at Madison.
we go back up to the front, take a look at Dalton Sargent. Dalton Sargent had a really good car early on. Tanner Thorson was stretching his wings just a bit. The young man coming here from the open wheel world, making his debut.
Yeah, started off in the 4th position and got the brakes hot early on that 25. Dalton Sargent, though, would lose the lead. Riley Herbst would get by. Dalton Sargent would fall back, I believe, to about 6th spot. And then it got a little sporty coming off turn 2 on the restart.
Yeah, Dalton Sargent was looking to save some brakes, was backing that one up just a little bit, but you could see him pile up too deep as Zane Smith took over the lead. Austin Terrio eventually working his way up and took over the lead as well, doing a great job a little bit earlier tonight. So that is the mid-race recap. It's brought to you by Protect Plus, the official licensee of DuPont Water and Air Filtration. And Jim Trado has been busy down there tonight.
Well, you know, you mentioned Tanner Thorson before our Protect Plus mid-race recap. His brakes were certainly glowing in the front, and they got brighter and brighter. He then radioed in about 9 laps ago and said, guys, no brakes. So what they did is they said, take the bias out of the front to the rear. Either we may have the knob wrong, indicating to dial in or dial out. There's a knob inside the cockpit. The driver can adjust the brake bias. So when he dialed it back out, the rotor glow went away. But all that track time he lost trying to maintain speed here without brakes for 3 laps cost him a ton of track time. He's now well outside the top 5.
Well, they've cooled down for sure, but the other side of that coin is if he puts a lot of rear bias in that car and he stands on the brake hard, it'll spin it around in a second. And the caution flag coming out here, I believe it's going to be the 48 car. Looks like he is rotated the wrong way. Brad Smith, unfortunately, out of Shelby Township, Michigan.
Yeah, Brad Smith coming off a career best 6th in points in 2016. Flirting around 300 career ARCA Racing Series starts.
Reaching back to 1988. He's been out here for a long time. And it looks like the car's okay. He's got it fired back up. One of the steel body cars out here.
Here's a pass for the lead as Christian Eckes put a move on Terrio.
Nice
15
job.
cars quick.
Right down on the bottom. He always is every time he comes out here. We've seen him go to the front, the back, to the front a couple times, and I think just about every race he's been in. He's a driver. He can get it done.
Brad Smith gets turned around and continues on. That Radon.com Ford for James Hilton. Still looking for his first top 10 finish this year. Comes into this race 10th in the points.
And you might have mentioned it somewhere along the way. If you did, I wasn't paying attention. Not uncommon for me to you. But how about Christian Eckes, 16 years old? Oh, yeah, that's not good on Shane Lee's car. Jim?
Well, Shane Lee actually got involved with the 23 of Brett Holmes on the front stretch 2 laps ago. The 22 suddenly slowed, but for good reason. He was almost hooked there, front bumper to rear bumper, and now you see them together on the racetrack, but the rear bumper cover had come off from the contact just prior to our caution. So the 22 may have caught a break here, but they'll have to repair that, put it back on. They can't just rip off the rear tail and get him back out there.
Gotcha. So he's going to have to come down to pit road, and he'll lose some time there.
Yeah, certainly a bummer there, running in that 9th spot, battling with Brett Holmes.
He just really needed to turn it around. 4th in the points coming into this event, and as we talked about before, I mean, he's so talented. 3 top 5s, 4 top 10s, and really need to turn this thing around and get rid of the bad luck, and it doesn't look like it's going to happen here tonight. Hopefully doesn't go a lap down.
Yeah, his last 2 races, 15th at Michigan, 28th at Pocono. You have to go back to Elko where he finished 7th.
Here he comes down onto pit road. And Tanner Thorson, as you can see, just passed him as well. Tanner Thorson also on the pit road, and Ryan Repko going by right there as 78 cars back on the pit road. They are ripping that rear fascia off, if you will, and I think they're going to send him back out there. Whoa, scary moment right there with one of the crew members from the 78 car, Brian Repko. Right rear tire changer, doing a little dance to stay off the grill, or the hood, I should say, of the 22 car. And it's tight down there. We've mentioned it before. This is short track racing. Those boxes are very, very tight. You've got to pay attention, and you don't want to get yourself hung up inside of the box. Watch it right there, man. Quick little hop saves a left knee. You got to be athletic down there, not a game for the meek, that's for sure.
And have eyes in the back of your head, the side of your head.
You better be listening. I mean, look, all the senses better be tuned in.
AJ
it's sketchy.
A.J. Fike back in the pits. Crew going to work on the right side. I believe he took two tires, so they should take 4 here.
For 4.
Let's get it down to Jim Trado.
Well, guys, there's a strategy playing out here for car number 15. That'd be the New York Bus Sales Toyota for the race leader, Christian Eckes. 1 year ago, he had a race that was almost in hand and burned up a rear gear. About this time in the race, he lasted to lap 118 and retired behind the wall with a very fast race car. He is one of the only drivers in the top 10 that has actually competed here at this track before. His crew chief, Jeff McClure, though, told me with a wink, after practice, we feel really good on used tires. We have good long-run tires, so those left sides have yet to be changed, I believe. But they're not talking about pitting. They might not pit again here in this race, and Eckes might click off some really fast laps on worn tires based upon what they saw in practice.
Yeah, that's a great point, Jim. 9th series start for him. Qualified 5th here last year, so he has seen this place, and we'll see how they finish up here, because that experience is so key. When we talk about how you have to preserve these brakes and how to set the car up to get all the air to those brakes that you need, as Jim was talking about before, those guys pulling some tape off the front to open up one of the vents. That's all the tricks of the trade to get them through 200 laps.
Yeah, and only 8 drivers in the field tonight actually ran this race here last year. You mentioned Eckes qualified 5th. He finished in the 14th position. You see Tanner Thorson there in the 25. There's Shane Lee right in front of him, minus the tail part of that racetrack. A.J. Fike came into the pits and got 4 tires. So he is, I believe, out of new tires in his pit. Each team has 6. They start the race on the 4 they qualified on, and then have 6 in the pits. Let's get it back down to Jim Trado for more on Gus Dean.
Gus Dean also has his tires situated. His crew chief is Todd Myers, a veteran of all 3 NASCAR National Series, and his owner, Kevin Swinski, has finished top 5 here in every ASA race he drove here. 5 top 5s in those races, so their strategy playing out for Gus. And guys, remember back at Salem, Gus Dean spun early in the early laps and came back to finish 2nd to Dalton Sargent. So maybe this spinning strategy could be part of Gus's, hey, I want to get to that track and do it for the first time. Gus Dean doing a great job in that Gree Cooling Products Toyota, sitting in the top 5. Again, a different strategy, but I think their strategy will keep him in the top 5 based on what we saw in that last green flag run.
And to follow up on the 27 car, he earned the free pass, so he got some tires and got back on the lead lap. That's good for A.J. Fike, man.
Yeah.
He's going to have a shot at this thing.
Yeah, and you're going to see him more than likely move through the field here a little bit. It could work out good for Fike. I mean, coming in on 80 laps to go, 79 laps to go in this race.
If this thing goes green to the end.
And we saw it in Nashville with Chad Finley. He got about lap 140, I think, and just blew by everybody and won the race. So we'll see how it shakes out here for A.J. Fike.
All right, pace truck is in. Lights are out. Christian Eckes stands on the throttle in the acceleration zone, and we are racing here. About 80 laps to go. Tick under 80. And he's going to take over the spot. Austin Terrio falls down into 2nd. Gus Dean works up into 3rd with Zane Smith in tow.
Yeah, and Herbst and Sargent going at it. Justin Fontaine throw the 33 up into the top 10. Currently runs 7th.
It'll be great to see the 33 car come back out here and do a good job after that big moment that he had in Daytona with a compression fracture and missed a few rounds there driving with Kevin Sawinski. We always talk about Kevin, and you have to talk about Kevin. He come up here to Wisconsin. Won his first ever late model race here at this racetrack. I believe it was back in 1985. We heard.
And Justin Fontaine making just his 5th career ARCA start, still looking for his first top 10, and certainly would help him out, help that team out to get it done here tonight.
Side by side they go, and they look like they would be teammates. They are not teammates. One is a Ford, one is a Toyota. The 55 is Zane Smith. That's a Venturini Toyota right there. And the 77, of course, a Cunningham Ford on the outside. Another Venturini back behind him, Toyota, and then a Gibbs Toyota with Riley Herbst in that number 18 car.
And Tanner Thorson thought for a second there to make a run on the inside of the 55. Now goes to the outside and turns 1 and 2 and may have a shot.
Boy, feeling racing, like I'll use a top shelf. I'm okay with that. Just did that last night.
Just put a cushion up there for me. I'll put the right rear on it and be all good.
He's got a little wing on the back. Look at him go around the outside. Excellent job out of Tanner Thorson
here tonight.
He made a couple mistakes, and unfortunately Gus Dean got caught up in it, but man, talk about a quick study.
So Thorson moves into 4th, as here's the 4-car battle with Justin Fontaine for 5th. 55, 77, 18, and the 33. Throw a blanket over these guys.
Zane Smith with that right front rotor and left front rotor glowing just a little bit. Right front really glowing. Great move, of course, being with the same team. He's going to get the same information. He might be able to back a little bit of that front bias out. The rotor's looking pretty good there for Riley, from what we could tell. I see a whole lot of glow out of that left front anyways.
There's Eckes around Nicolopoulos, around the 48 here of Brad Smith.
And I believe that is Tanner Thorson that has just taken over 2nd place.
Wow. Gus Dean now on the back bumper of the 52. Well, he came in and got 2 tires, I believe, there in that last caution.
Well, he just really slid up out of the groove right there. Of course, Keith Kunz, Toyota development driver, and Keith Kunz, one of the best out there, no question about it. And he's been surrounded by great equipment and great people, and they have faith in him, and that's why right there. You see what he's doing.
And now Gus Dean gets by Austin Theriault, so Dean moves into 3rd.
As you take a look at Gus Dean, Austin Theriault, this guy's hanging out inside of the top 5, and we'll be back in just a moment to see if they can stay there. A lot of racing yet to do here at Madison International Speedway. Stay with us. We'll be right back. With 60 laps to go, we have a brand new leader. The 25 car of Tanner Thorson has taken over the lead here with the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards Montgomery Ward 200. Here's a look at the pass.
Right around the outside, and that's what 2 fresh General tires, or I should say 2 fresher General tires, will do as he raced his way to the front, drove around the outside of Christian Eckes, and has checked out.
If this thing goes green to the end, he's going to be a handful to catch. This is the battle for 2nd place right here. Austin Theriault in the 52 car, and we've talked about him so much here tonight. How do you not when he's leading the points? A win at Daytona, 4th at Nashville, 5th at Salem, 4th at Talladega, 6th at Toledo, 1 at Elko again. Pocono had a tough race and finished 9th, if you want to call it a tough race, and then 2nd at Michigan. I mean, just incredibly consistent, and once again here in the top 3.
You can see Riley Herbst there racing up right behind the 52 of Austin Theriault. Herbst in that NOS Energy drink number 18 for JGR. Eckes holding on to that 3rd position. Gus Dean, meanwhile, has remained in 2nd. He's about 2 seconds behind Tanner Thorson. Remember, Thorson got 2 right side tires on the caution on lap 117.
Well, I'll tell you, as we take a look at lap times here, Zane Smith is clicking off the lap times down the 1850s, and our leader Thorson at 1864. And Jim, you've got a little bit more.
Just the racing line is something of beauty to watch on the 25, the Musselman's Applesauce Toyota of our race leader, Tanner Thorson. I was watching as he approached Christian Eckes. We saw how he made the pass, but he's also been maintaining a higher line off the exit of turn 4, notwithstanding the lap cars, but his lineup for turn 4, others are not taking note. Now Gus Dean is finally going up there. It's almost as if he's established his own outside line exiting turn 4. Turn 2, he's also coming out. It looks like he's shooting across the bottom of the exit and coming to the backstretch. It's working for him. Others, I think, are now catching on. But the racing line of Thorson, whether he knows it or not, is unique and better than most right now.
Yeah, my apologies. I was talking about the best laps for these guys. If you take a look at the last laps for these guys, Herbst is still right there. I mean, he's one of the quicker cars out there on the track for sure. But Thorson is laying them down, doing a great job. A little bit quicker than everybody by a couple hundredths of a second.
Theriault right now running 4th, right behind Christian Eckes. Then Herbst again, Zane Smith, Justin Fontaine into 7th. Dalton Sargent behind him in 8th. Shane Lee, AJ Fike runs in 10th. Remember, Fikester came in and got 4 fresh tires. Kind of thought he might be able to move up through the field a little bit quicker. But again, 50 laps to go. You don't want to use it all up.
And we had said that was a battle for second between Eckes and Terrio. Actually, Gus Dean is in second. At least according to our live time and its scoring. So the 25 car is out front, though.
Yeah, meanwhile, Thorson's just on cruise control at this point. There's the 78 car. Ryan Repko right behind the 18 of Riley Herbst.
Yeah, and of course they had that oil leak a little bit earlier.
Yeah,
and it looks like they were able to get that contained.
Repko right now running 12th. Herbst shown in 5th. How about Tanner Thorson? Wow.
An absolute shocker. I mean, we expect him to do good. He's talented, but to come out here and do what he's doing in his debut is nothing short of exceptional.
And as we said, he's run some super late model stuff this year. He ran 2 Cars Tour events last year for David Gilliland, 2 top 5s. He ran second lay down fast time with the Pass Series this year at Caraway Speedway.
As we take a look at Gus Dean, and Gus Dean in second place. Solid effort there, as we talked about before. And Tanner Thorson getting into the side of him early on in this race. Turned him around, not on purpose, just the way it worked out. Came in, got off sequence, put 4 tires on, and he has gone up to the front here.
Of course, he won at Talladega in his second career start driving for Mason Mitchell Motorsports last year. And you go back to 3rd place, Christian Eckes there in that 15 car, still trying to hold off Austin Terrio in the 52, our points leader. Eckes having a solid go of it here this evening.
Well, you can see how much those cars pick up. Whoa, bit of a moment right there. The 48 car ran up just a little bit, but look how high off the ground that nose is. And when they come in, boy, they set the nose, and that spoiler right down there seals it all off, just like it's supposed to.
And Austin Terrio there in 4th. We talked about it a little bit earlier in the show, but watching him run at Elko, just kind of stalking those leaders, keeping them within sight. Seems like that's what he's doing here. As we are inside 50 to go. Then you go back to 5th, Riley Herbst, also a leader earlier tonight.
And Riley Herbst, just one of those young gun standouts. Look forward to great things from him. Finished 3rd at Elko after a big wreck that he was certainly part of there, and then went on to Pocono and grabbed his first career win with the ARCA Racing Series. And said he had a really fast car at Michigan, but they had that mechanical stuff going on there with the alternator, and then got into it with Vinnie Miller as the caution flag will come out here. One up into the wall, it looks like, in turn 2. Hard to tell who it is. Face-off was A.J. Fike. And it looked like A.J. Fike backed it up into the wall. Like the car seems like it's okay. And there's a look at our leader. So the question is, who comes in to take tires now? Because that's, with less than 50 to go, about 40 laps to go, this is a game changer. And, oh, man, looks like all by himself.
Yeah, if you have tires left in your pit, this is when you come in and get them.
Yeah, the guys that played the late tire game strategy are like, yes, this is exactly what we wanted. And I see it looks like the Venturini team, possibly for Zane Smith, might be setting up here.
Well, we saw about the top 8 or 10 cars on lap 72 come in and all get 2 tires. So a lot of those guys will come back here, and we could see them all get 4. Christian Eckes being one of them, Zane Smith being one of them.
I don't think Tanner has any tires left like you were talking about, but I think Eckes and Zane Smith does. This is going to be a shootout here with 40 to go. You don't want to miss the end of this one. Okay, I hope you stayed with us this long. If you've just joined us, boy, perfect timing as well. Here with the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards. This is the Montgomery Ward 200 at Madison International Speedway. We have less than 40 to go. Caution flag comes out, and pit road was a flurry, and some players have been able to take 4 tires. Take a look at this as well. Christian Eckes and Riley Herbst nearly making contact, but Eckes able to sneak out without hitting the car, the 77 car in. But Zane Smith rolling by, took 4 tires. And we also saw Tanner Thorson, who had no tires, at least no new tires, came in and took 4 scuffs. The 22 car taking 4 tires. The 32 car taking 2 tires. That is Gus Dean. So it was busy down on there. And let's get into Jim Trado. You have more.
Tanner Thorson came in and they got 4 tires. They put 4 used tires on. I asked the screw shape Dave Liner how many laps on those. He said about 40. So we'll see how he plays out here for mid-pack.
Well, he's found a new line around here that nobody else is running, so maybe it works out for him. Unbelievable what he has been able to do out here. But yeah, we've got to keep an eye on the 18 car, the 15 car, the 77 car, all taking 4 tires. I mean, the players have 4 tires on. This is going to be good.
This is kind of played into what we thought was going to happen. I mean, these guys get 4. The last came in and got their 2 tires at lap 72. Coming in here at lap 160-ish to get their 4 tires, hoping that it goes green as we take a look at our upcoming ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards season schedule.
Yeah, another short track, Sioux Chief short track challenge coming up at Iowa Speedway and Lucas Oil Raceway as well. Winchester, oh man, talk about a lot of fun. And then we go to the dirt.
Yeah, we'll be back on the mile live here on MAV TV at the Springfield Mile, Illinois State Fairgrounds. Of course, they go to the Magic Mile at DeCoin, back to Salem Speedway to round out the Sioux Chief Short Track Challenge, the 2nd time at that racetrack. And a lot of great racetracks still left on this ARCA schedule. Every year they have great racetracks.
Yeah, we'll end the season up with some Speedway stuff as well that everybody will enjoy for sure. So a lot of racing yet to do here. We're just 1 short of the halfway point here in the 2017 ARCA Racing Series season. Stop 9 on the tour. 163 laps completed of 200 here. We believe the pace truck will pull off here. You can see the lights are out on the back straightaway. And Gus Dean will be our leader. And Justin Fontaine, we haven't said too much about Justin, but it's awesome to see him up there on the front row, and glad he's back out here racing with us. The Wintron cars filling out the front row here. Gus Dean holds up just a little bit to see if he can get a good run. Maybe snuckering just a little bit, but Fontaine having none of it. Fontaine with a great restart. Fontaine will take the lead, followed by Tanner Thorson. They go 3 wide.
Gus Dean stuck in the middle. Everybody fighting to that inside part of the racetrack.
Contact.
Terrio, the 15 of Eckes down there as well. Fontaine gets chewed up. Thorson back to the point.
Gus Dean goes from the front to the back quickly, gets in the middle of that sandwich, and
they're still going side by side. They know 4 fresh tires. This is your chance to get to the front.
yeah, they are too deep back here. Take a look at these guys running back there for 4th and 5th, doubled up.
And when we talk about Austin Terrio,
patience,
right?
These
guys being smart, here he is right up front. Bradley Herbst now trying to get back up to the front as you see a 3-car battle for 2nd.
There's those new General tires as they start to eat up those guys, including Tanner Thorson on the scuffs. He will not be able to hang with this new rubber that these guys have. A little contact back there as well, again involving Justin Fontaine, it looked like right there. 2 young kids, the 15 car is 16 years old. (16, 18, 18). Of course, Terrio up front, but talking about Eckes, Zane Smith, Riley Herbst.
Shane Lane just 23 years old right there in that 22, right in front of Tanner Thorson.
And let's go to Jim.
Good, right?
Jim Trado, what do you got?
This pace is something else, isn't it, guys? Those fresh tires. We'll see how it plays off now. What we have is Terrio and his crew chief saying it's about the brakes. Terrio said, I don't know what I'll have till the sun goes down. The car came to life last week in Michigan when the sun popped out with 20-some laps to go. I asked about that scenario playing out here. He said, I don't know. But right now, that team's very comfortable and confident with this young man leading the Sioux Chief Short Track Challenge and pulling away from the field.
Yeah, just to give you an idea how much faster they're going with Jim talking about the pace. Austin Terrio had just put a 22nd lap time up on the board. Now he's running 18 4s and 5s. So, yeah, I mean, it makes a huge difference as you see Brett Holmes now drive underneath the 25 car of Tanner Thorson. Tanner Thorson going backwards quickly now in comparison to that new rubber, the 77 car of Dalton Sargent. Trying to pick his way to the front, just touches the back bumper of Holmes, loosens him up just a little bit.
Yeah, Tanner Thorson falling back to, I believe, the 8th position. Yep, right in front now of the 32 Gus Dean, who looks to the inside there off turn 2. And Brad Smith trying to get out of the way there in that 48. As the leaders are coming by him once again, under 30 laps to go.
Well, Gus Dean on the point falls back to 9th. He took 2 tires and still just could not hang. He got gobbled right up. And of course, as Jim just talked about, it's not all tires out here. The brakes are playing a huge role.
Dalton Sargent now to the inside of Brett Holmes.
Dalton Sargent trying to pick his way to the front, down in the 7th position. As we go back up to our leader, Austin Terrio, trying to make it 3 on the season. But that 15 car behind him is hungry for his first career win.
He just gained a 10th on him, and he's got some lap cars in front of him. Thomas Prater there in that number 9. Mike Basham in the 34 to go another lap down. As Terrio's going to have to worry about the 15 here pretty quick.
Terrio's car owner, Kenny Schrader, was here a little bit earlier in the day, but shooting back over to another racetrack to run a $10,000 modified race tonight. He said, good luck, fellas.
Yeah, I'm going to try and make some money. They're supposed to run it last night. It's a little northeast of us, I believe. Kind of over by Road America. So he's going to go run on the dirt tonight.
Eckes right up on the back bumper now of Terrio, and plenty of time to work.
Yeah, we're coming on 20 laps to go. This is where it gets good. Christian Eckes now going to try and stalk the 52, much like we've seen Austin Terrio do in the past. Here's the battle for the 3rd position. Zane Smith in the 55, Radley Herbst behind him. Shane Lee runs 5th.
And the 2 kids once again together. Zane Smith, Riley Herbst, the same exact positions they were in at the end of Elko. Amazing how it just comes back around. And this battle here for the lead is hot and being contested for sure. We're going to take a quick break. Yeah, don't even think about leaving this one. It's just about to get good. We are live on MAV TV. It's a packed house here at Madison International Speedway, and we're about to have a shootout here with the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards at the Montgomery Ward 200 as Con Nicolopoulos spun that thing around the front straightaway. Caution flag has come out, and we will pair everybody up side by side and turn them loose here again. We're going to have about a 15-lap shootout, and Eckes no doubt had some speed on that 52 car, and now he's going to have a chance to take over the point.
Who can get the whole shot? Racing down into turn 1. Could be who decides this one here tonight at Madison. We've got Zane Smith back there in the 55 as you see Austin Terrio. Will he choose the outside or the inside?
Yeah, and 2 totally different frames of mind, I would think. I mean, Terrio's going to go for the win, don't get me wrong, but he's going to be smart about it. He is the points leader. The last thing he wants to do is get in a wreck. Where on the other hand, the 15 car, that young gun is hungry for that first win. You know he's going to go for it.
Yeah, I would assume Terrio's going to pick the inside part of the racetrack, knowing that what you just said, that the kid is hungry. Doesn't want to have to worry about him showing a nose going into turn number 1. Yeah, make him earn it, go around the outside if need be.
That was A.J. Fike that went sailing by. Once again gets the free pass and is back on the lead lap. And once again, we'll go back down to Jim Trado.
Well, this caution not only allows the brakes to cool and the tires to cool, but also the crew chiefs and the spotters to chime in. For the 52 team of Austin Terrio, his crew chief said, hey, we're right down here in turn 1. He's dive bombing you. The 15 wants to get to the inside of you. If we can beat him into the corner, we're actually pulling him off slightly off of turn 2. Terrio and his crew chief, Donnie Richardson, spent a lot of time today talking about exit of turn number 2 being below that patch. So not only are they able to probably creep in the bottom, once they get to the bottom, they don't think Eckes can get around the outside. So they're talking about where they're stronger. While Eckes' car's faster, they also now had a chance to discuss amongst themselves. Eckes can't get you on the inside if you're down there. Protect the bottom.
So that is the strategy. By the way, you heard Jim mention a patch. There is a square patch of asphalt in the exit of 2 that those guys were using for a little bit of grip driving off. And something else that Jim mentioned there, about him dive bombing in and then getting beat off, and then that's exactly what happens. There's always a give and take. If you want to take the turn early on and drive in hard, you're going to lose a little bit off. If you can drive in a little bit slower and set yourself up, then you can drive off a little bit harder, and that's what Terrio's been doing. Two different, and you have to drive them different. If you're in second, you've got to go for that low spot and drive in a little bit harder.
Yeah, and you have to be careful if you back up the corner a little bit. You can get run over, especially with less than 15 to go. So it's going to be interesting. I know Terrio's a very smooth, very smart race car driver. He always gets good restarts. So we'll see if Eckes can pull one over, the veteran, if you will, racing back into turn one.
Pace truck is in. The field is in the hands of the 52 car. Christian Eckes hits the throttle the same exact time. Gets a great run down the side, but it's going to be all Austin Terrio early on. Eckes is going to have to fall down to the bottom. He's going to lose second to Zane Smith.
Yeah, Zane Smith, nice move, kind of diamonds the corner, shoots right to the inside of Christian Eckes. Riley Herbst unable to follow the 55, so he'll remain in fourth.
Two teammates sitting second and third. Zane Smith and Christian Eckes. Then it's Riley Herbst up front, our points leader. That is Austin Terrio, and Austin Terrio starting to gap him a little bit. There's teammates from the Cunningham team, and the pair of Fords there. Shane Lee and, of course, Dalton Sargent.
Yeah, battling for the fifth position side by side. 11 laps to go. This time by. And it looks like Lee will get the best of the 77 and take over that spot.
Down to about 10 laps to go here.
Austin Terrio getting it done once again. The winner by 29 thousandths at Elko, the last short track race we ran.
Certainly one of the closest finishes in ARCA Racing Series history there at Elko. So exciting right at the very end.
Battle for third, Eckes in the 15, Riley Herbst right behind him. Herbst with a pretty good hot rod right now.
He might have moved him just a little bit, but not enough to get up underneath him. There it is again.
You know, Riley doesn't mind rattling the cage a little bit.
That is the game, man. Roll up in there, try not to give up any corner speed. Loosen them up just a little bit and see if you can drive underneath them.
Yeah, the 15 got through 1 and 2 a little bit better right there, but previous 2 laps, it looked like Riley was a little better than Christian Eckes.
By the way, Zane Smith last lap just a little bit better than Terrio, but now Terrio gets it all back.
And here comes Herbst now to the inside as they race down the back straightaway. This is the battle for the third position.
Boy, look at Eckes roll the turn right there. Trying to use that lapper down there on the bottom.
Still side by side as the battle for the lead starting to heat up. Zane Smith about 2 car lengths behind Austin Terrio. Here's the battle for the lead to the left, the battle for third on the right. And Eckes gets into the back of Herbst.
5
gets
to go.
By him.
5 to go. The top 2 have checked out. Great battle for third place, and Riley Herbst gets underneath him, loosens him up just a little bit. Eckes slides up. Herbst takes over the position. Terrio still out front in our split screen here, followed by young Zane Smith.
Last time by, just under 3 thousandths of a second between first and second.
Zane Smith's father, Mike, not able to make it here, busy at the shop, but no doubt very proud of this young man. He's doing a great job on the back bumper of our points leader. 3 laps to go.
Austin Terrio looking for win number 3 this year to pad not only the Sioux Chief Short Track Challenge points lead, the points lead as well.
Eckes falling back a little bit. Here comes Shane Lee, drives down underneath him as well. And I believe Dalton Sargent there in tow with the 77 car, as the Cunningham cars are trying to pick their way up to the front. Getting down to it.
Rocky Anderson, the flag man, with the white flag in hand for Austin Terrio. Here we go, half a mile to go here in Madison.
And a lapper right there to play part of this roll. Zane Smith ducks down behind him and then gets up. I thought he almost hit him, but he lost a lot of ground.
He did hit the 34, I believe. Basham spins around. No caution. Basham to the inside. It looks like Terrio will get the win here at Madison.
Short track racing at its best. Congratulations. Austin Terrio picks up his third win on the season, as you were talking about. Still the only multi-winner here on the season. Zane Smith, though, qualified second and finishes second. Tough young man, and it's great to see him make a great rebound after that big hit that he had a weekend ago at Michigan.
Just caught the 34 at the wrong place at the wrong time, coming off turn number 2, trying to battle for the lead. Spins out Basham, but ends up in second.
We'll talk to the top 3 whenever we come back in just a moment. Riley Herbst rounds out the podium, and everybody is sitting on the front straightaway waiting for an interview. Stay with us. We'll be right back to talk to Austin Terrio. The driver from Fort Kent, Maine, Austin Terrio, picks up his third win of the season. The points leader is stretching it out on the boys. Welcome back to the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards, Montgomery Ward 200 here at Madison International Speedway. Let's show you the final order here of how they crossed the stripe. And Terrio doing a great job, man. Showed all the patience he needed, climbing out of the car and getting showered down with some nice cold water. Perfect night out here, and we'll show you the final results in a moment. Let's get it down to Jim Trado.
Talk about a proven short track car. How about a proven short track winner? Elko winner in this car, and here you able to save it to the end. Take us through how you're able to hold on and pull away at the very end when it counted, Austin.
We got a ton of fight, and it showed tonight again. We just saved our tires, saved the car beginning of the race, and just did what we needed to do in order to run for the win at the end. And Donnie made some good adjustments. We didn't really have the best car, but we had enough to win the race, and that's all you need at these short tracks. A lot of beating and banging, a lot of fun. General tires were really good tonight. They fell off, but at the same time, it was really fun to drive. And man, I'd like to thank Ken and Ann Schrader and Briggs Cunningham and a lot of people that put this deal together to make it happen. We already got 3 wins, so it's a dream come true. It's really awesome.
Caution with 18 laps to go allowed you to get some consultation with your team saying, hey, he's trying to bomb on the inside. Hold that line. Was that the difference for you?
It was a difference. I mean, down there in 1 and 2, you could easily miss the corner and give up a couple car lengths. And I was conservative down there at the end of the race, and it was just enough. We were good in 3 and 4, but, man, there's nothing left of this car. We used it all up.
Austin Terrio, winner at Madison in the Montgomery Ward 200. 3 wins on the season for the point leader.
What a great run for that young man. Congratulations to him, and of course also leading the Sioux Chief Short Track Challenge points as well. Once again, we'll take a quick break. We'll come right back. Stay with us. We have plenty more to talk to. Round 5 of the Sioux Chief Short Track Challenge did not disappoint. Austin Terrio grabs the win, followed by Zane Smith, and Rob Klepper, you were just all over that. A career best for him by a couple of positions. Riley Herbst winds up in the top 3. Shane Lee with a good comeback there, and Christian Eckes unfortunately falling backwards towards the end of the run there, but still a very strong effort out of the 15 car. Let's take a look at the rest of the players here. Justin Fontaine, who was up towards the front there at the very end. AJ Fike, a couple of free passes hanging around there, and the Moose finishes up in 13th. As you take a look at the rest of them. All right, let's get it back down to the front straightaway. And Jim Trado, what a great run for that young man and a career best second-place finish.
Yeah, after a pair of fourth-place finishes, not representative of how strong the 55 with Zane Smith has been this year. What was the difference for you late in this race to climb back to second?
Yeah, I mean, that restart helped us a lot. But, man, I just cannot thank Muscle Ones Applesauce, La Paz Margarita Mix, Icon Vehicle Dynamics, Cam Say Wheels, Speed Vegas, my mom, my dad. They aren't here, but huge thanks to my crew chief, my spotter, for helping me a lot to save brakes through all those. That was a long 200 laps there, and to save our general tires, that was a big key to this race. I feel like the 52 just did a little bit better than I did, and hopefully I can learn from that.
Zane Smith, again, a young man on the rise. Again, a very fast car, no matter the speedway. Now a result to show it for it. Second here at Madison for Zane Smith.
Another one of those Toyota development drivers, so I'm sure Jack Irving will be proud of that young man with a great representation of the brand. Here is a race recap as we pick up midway through the race. Christian Eckes with a hot rod for sure. Drives up in front of the 52 car.
Yeah, Christian Eckes had a good hot rod all night long. Really pretty much to the end of this race. Austin Terrio was fast as well, but how about Tanner Thorson? 2 fresh right side tires drove by everybody, got to the front, and the open wheel star checked out.
Well, I tell you, man, if that thing stayed green, he was going to surprise everybody and come out here and possibly grab a win in his debut, but it did not. So we had a couple of restarts. Gustine there on the bottom, and alongside was Justin Fontaine in the 33 car. So both Wintron cars there on the front row, but boy, it got sporty quick.
Yeah, after everybody got 4 tires on that last caution there, they all raced to the front. Tanner Thorson, kind of a sitting duck there. Austin Terrio, Christian Eckes, Zane Smith, Radley Herbst, Dalton Sargent, all trying to get to the front in a hurry.
Yeah, Tanner had taken 4 tires, but he did not have 4 new ones. Had to take on 4 scuffs that had about 40 laps, more than scuffs, I guess, used. They had 40 laps on them, so he got gobbled up as well. And then this moment right here, as Eckes was trying to get past the 18 car, feeding a little bit back. Those 2 kids had been racing hard with each other.
Yeah, the Young Guns putting on a show here, but when it was all said and done, it was Austin Terrio picking up his 3rd win of 2017.
What a great run for sure. All right, we're going to take another quick break here and stay with us. When we come back, we'll talk to the driver, the number 18 car for Joe Gibbs.
The ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards television broadcast has been brought to you by General Tire. Anywhere is possible. Sioux Chief, America's manufacturer of plumbing. And by Lucas Oil. Made in America, sold to the world.
And the Montgomery Ward 200 is in the books here with the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards. Riley Herbst running out the podium. That is 3 out of the last 4 races in the top 3 positions, including a win at Pocono. And Jim, he has to be pleased with the consistency.
And indeed, he's overcome quite a bit in matching his career best short track finish of 3rd. He finished 3rd at Elko a couple races ago. And Riley, we see the damage here, but nonetheless, you overpowered, persevered. Take us through this eventful race on pit road and on the racetrack for you, your first time here at Madison.
Up and down all day, to say the least. We got up to 2nd, the highest we were on a restart. It got shuffled back all the way, I think, back to 9th. But our NOS Energy drink Toyota Camry was really good all night. I wish we had like about 10 more laps there. We were running them back. The 55 and the 52, they were battling for the win. I feel like we could have got them. We had a way better car, but time ran out, just didn't fall in our favor. But I will say that we ran forever. I think it was 100 laps on a green flag run, and I had all the tires underneath me the whole time. The General tires were held up all race. I didn't think it was going to happen on this pavement because it's so rough and stuff, but they held up, and we were able to put this thing in 3rd place.
Nice job, Riley Herbst, again 3rd here today, gaining in points in the Sioux Chief Short Track Challenge. Came in the night 5th overall in the standings in that category.
And speaking of the Sioux Chief Short Track Challenge, let's show you the remainder of that schedule. 5 of them left here to go.
Yeah, the 7/8 mile Iowa Speedway, the 5/8 mile Lucas Oil Raceway, the half mile at Winchester, the 2 dirt miles, and then we'll go back to Salem for the finale on September 9th, and the second time we will visit that historic racetrack here this year and crown the Sioux Chief Short Track Challenge champion on September 9th.
Yeah, my apologies, 6 to go, but they take the best 10. So it's 11 race series inside of the series, if you will, to win that championship. It's been a lot of fun out here for sure. Exactly what we expected here whenever we go short track racing with the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards. Hope you enjoyed all the great racing action as well from up here at Madison International Speedway. For Jim Trado and Rob Klepper, I'm Ken Stout. It's been a pleasure to bring you all the action from the Montgomery Ward 200 and the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards live on MAV TV.